If you're looking for a unique wine experience, check out Burned Out Winery. Founded by a team of siblings who turned their passion for winemaking into a thriving business. They focus on crafting exceptional small batch wines from Moscato to tart cherry and spiced apple to their delightful sangrias. There's something for everyone. Each bottle tells a story, complete with a creative name that reflects their journey. Their wines are not only fantastic, but they're also affordable, making them a great choice for any occasion. You can easily order online at burnedoutwinery.com or connect with them on Facebook. They deliver. Whether you're local or out of state, they'll ship right to your front door. Support this hardworking team and savor the taste of Burned Out Winery. This is Big Sturge with American Whiskey. Discover the taste of freshness at Schoolhouse Farms. Join Vaughn Davis and Beth Cole, passionate bird watchers and friends from York County, Maine, as they transform their love for nature into a thriving business. Since 2016, they have been dedicated to growing and distributing premium sunflower kernels, oils, gourmet popcorn, and heirloom grain products like corn, flour, and grits. What do they offer? Birdseed suppliers, high quality black oil sunflower seeds for local markets. Food retailers, a selection of sunflower oils, roasted kernels, gourmet popcorn, and heirloom cornmeal. Online shoppers enjoy gourmet popcorn and confectioned sunflower kernels from the comfort of your home. Floral markets, stunning sunflowers for Ohio-based florists. Distillers, specialty grains for brewing and distillation. Popcorn vendors, are you a kettle corn vendor? Talk to Vaughn or Beth about supplying your business with the lowest cost, high quality mushroom popcorn in the industry. Taste the difference. Customers can shop for delicious sunflower kernels, popcorn, flavored oils, and heirloom cornmeal and grits directly on their website or at selected retail stores and farmers markets across Ohio, Indiana, Maine, and New Hampshire. Their name pays tribute to the historic Freysinger School, built in 1862 on Davis Farms property. This one-room schoolhouse has a rich history, having served the community until 1939. Are you ready to connect? If there's an exciting opportunity to discuss, they would love to hear from you. Follow Schoolhouse Farms on Facebook today and become part of the community. This is Big Sturge with American Whiskey. All right, guys, welcome to American and Whiskey Sip and Solve Edition. It's not Friday, it is Thursday, but we've got shit planned for Friday, so we can't do it. But we're here to explore the stories that shape our world. I'm Big Sturgeon. With me tonight, as always, is Justice League and Peanut.
How's it going, everyone?
What's up?
And today, we're diving into one of the most controversial and tragic events in American history, the Waco siege and the Branch Davidians. Guys, tonight I'm sipping on a Michelob Ultra. I've had a few shots tonight. Honestly, I've had the Travelers from Buffalo Trace, 3 shots. Sorry, all the same. And I love you guys. But before we get started, of course, we got to talk about what we're sipping on, boys.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
You said, "Oh yeah," and then I'm drinking a good old Boosh latte.
And I got a Boosh latte. I had some Travelers earlier, some Ghost.
What is that
my
you're sipping on there?
tea.
What is that? Let's read that.
Okay. It's a sweet tea.
Whiskey, correct?
Yes, it's a neutral spirits with black tea by Definite Distillery.
Dude, to be honest, dude, it's a really good drink.
If you like sweet tea, this
You'd
thing
love
tastes just like sweet tea. You'll love this.
So now that what you know what we're sipping on, what are you guys sipping on tonight? We're glad that you're here. Like I said, I know it's a random weekday night, but it is what it is. And we're here to give you guys not one, but 2 different stories tonight, because they're kind of related on how the American government completely plows us, right? This is the episode of Waco, the Branch Davidians, and we're also going to dive into Ruby Ridge. But our story, the first episode, we begin with Waco, Texas in 1993. And I know a lot of you are looking at my onesie. I know. He bought it for me. It's a 3X. By the way, I'm 149 pounds down. I don't want to brag. But our story begins in Waco, Texas, 1993. But to understand the events that unfolded those moments, we have to, look back at the origins of the Branch Davidian and the leader, David Koresh.
All right, so David Koresh was born Vernon Wayne Howe on August 17th, 1959 in Houston, Texas. He had a Sturge, what's
just a crazy ass life,
pretty
dude.
much a crazy life, like
a rough life,
nothing that is normal.
A tumultuous life, dude. Just a crazy life.
His parents divorced when he was young, and he was raised primarily by his mother in a poor environment. Koresh struggled academically and often felt alienated from his peers. In his teenage years, he began to explore religion, seeking a sense of belonging and purpose. Which
hey, we said religion. Which
is going to lead us a lot down that rabbit hole throughout the story.
That's right.
At the age of 15, he dropped out of high school and joined a Seventh-day Adventist church group. And there we go again, following that religion.
Mm-hmm.
After being introduced to his teachings by a friend, it was there that he developed a deep interest in the Bible, particularly in the prophetic text and apocalyptic themes. This fascination would shape his later beliefs in the ideology he preached.
By the early 1980s, Koresh had moved to Waco and became involved with the Branch Davidians, which had splintered from the Davidian movement. Itself a breakaway from the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The group, led at the time by Lois Roden, believed in imminent return of Christ and had a strong focus on prophecy. Again, it's all, religion related. In 1983, Koresh claimed that he had received a divine revelation.
The divine revelation. Isn't that the magic words, man?
That is the magic words of everybody in that area. Leading him to challenge Roden for leadership of the group. After a power struggle, Koresh ultimately took control in 1987. He asserted that he was the final prophet and that he had.
I would say that he brought that the unique interpretation.
Yes.
You know, he took his own words of the scriptures, Phil.
Yep. He definitely had unique interpretation of the scriptures, particularly the book of Revelation.
Yeah.
So it just seems like this guy only cared about parts of the Bible that like talked about prophets coming back. And
well, if you listen to hit off on top of that before we go any farther, if you listen to any of I think we have some sermons that he preached on our board, which we played in the intro. Let's play a second of that if we could.
Attorney hands him over. What's the two theologians' name? Philip Arnold and Jim Tabor, which have shown that they have a sincere interest in these things. Mm-hmm. You see, then I can spend all my time in jail, and people can go in and ask me all the stupid questions because they're not going to ask me about the seal. They're going to say.
So you can hear the enthusiasm in his voice. He's a very charismatic soul. But when you have somebody, if you listen to his sermons and what he's preaching, he doesn't ever read Bible verses from what I've heard. It's always him holding a Bible, and he's interpreting for everybody in his own words. Yeah, so that's kind of scary.
He was kind of like a preacher.
Well, kind of like a preacher. There's a lot of good preachers out there, so I don't want to put a bad taste in people's mouths. Right. But what I'm saying is the dude would say, I know all the Psalms, but he wouldn't say one of them.
He would just say his thoughts on it.
His thoughts, exactly. So,
well, even in some of the stuff that, he didn't agree with that or didn't fit what he was trying to do, he used that, I'm the prophecy.
Well, and that's it. It's like, don't question me. I'm the prophet of the Lord.
This is what it really means.
I am the last coming, right? I'm the last coming of the Father. Now, that's going to take us to our next part here. Under Koresh's leadership, the Branch Davidians. Now, the Branch Davidians is, again, we had the older lady, which we didn't add in this, but he was actually sleeping with her at a young age. She was in her 80s. He was banging her out. And working his way. You heard early on, Dylan told you, he didn't do good in school. He didn't do well anywhere in life. So what did he do? He got into this, cult, was railing out the leader. And that's a terrible way of putting it, but making love to the leader.
He was like 15, wasn't he?
Yeah, dude. Like he's railing out an 80-year-old just to take the leadership. And he does do that. He takes the Branch Davidians by the ball sack and becomes increasingly isolated from the outside world. And that's a red flag, but they lived in a compound known as Mount Carmel. A lot of you are going to know that name when you hear it because there was a massive thing that happens with this. And they were, they practiced a communal living that engaged in intense Bible study. There's nothing wrong with any of what we're saying right now. There's nothing wrong with this. If you want to get a compound, worship the Lord, go do it. But we're going to keep going here, right? I mean, this gets crazy. Koresh preaches that the apocalypse was coming soon and that his followers were chosen, out of all these people in the world. They were the chosen ones, destined to survive the impending judgment. Now, I do want to add to this part. He says in his sermons that the United States government is going to come in helicopters. They're going to come in tanks, and they're going to come by the hundreds with machine guns to end your life. He says that before it ever happens. Now, the situation escalates on February 28th, 1993, in the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosive, or what people call the ATF, attempted to execute a search warrant at the Branch Davidian compound. This operation was prompted by allegations of illegal weapons possession and child abuse. Now, how did they, if you listen to the news clips and listen, we're trying to squeeze in a lot of information at once, right? If you guys have studied this, you're going to see that the way that they knew somebody was coming was one of the people that were involved in the compound that lived there was a mailman. The mailman was stopped on the road by a news crew that says, "Hey, I'm looking for the Branch Davidian compound. Do you know where it's at?" Well, the mailman happened to be a part of it. So what does he do? Finds the nearest payphone, calls David Koresh, says, "Hey, the ATF, they're headed your fucking way. Here's how I know. I got asked by somebody. They said they're going there because the news network heard that the ATF is coming." So what do? They lock and they fucking load, baby.
And he's got these people, are so believing what he's telling them that they would do anything. I mean, the guy was like sleeping with almost every female member there.
And we're gonna,
we're gonna hit that.
We're gonna hit that. God damn it! It's of all ages. It sounds like so. But however, whatever. So the ATF's approach was, pretty much heavily criticized, I would say. Rather than seeking a peaceful resolution, which it sounds like that's what the government likes to do. Don't trust them. But they opted to do a heavily armed raid, which many argue was unnecessary. It wasn't proactive, right? The decision to storm the compound led to a violent confrontation where 4 ATF agents, law enforcement officers, because of ignorant fucking decisions, lost their life. And not only that, 6 Branch Davidians were killed in this initial, I call it a skirmish. It's something that should never have happened, guys.
Well,
this was fucking ridiculous.
And like you hit on earlier, Sturge, I believe we have some news clips that we're about to play, but Koresh, when he was giving his sermon saying this stuff's going to happen, the helicopter showed up.
Friends, it has been over 36 hours now since federal agents first confronted a heavily armed religious cult near Waco. They were met by a hail of gunfire, killing 4 of the agents and wounding over a dozen others. Tonight, additional agents have arrived on that scene, many of them in combat gear. We have a team of reporters and photographers in the Waco area keeping us up to date on this developing story. For the latest, let us turn live now to reporter Alan Himberger. Alan.
Hello, Dave. In fact, the marshals moved in force tonight. We say marshals. We're not really sure what kind of agents they are. We know for sure that they are federal agents of some sort, probably ATF agents. This morning at news conferences, the ATF people talked about the problems they had out here yesterday. They said one of the reasons that they had 4 men go down was because they were outgunned yesterday.
So, Dylan, as you were just stating, the fact of these, go ahead. I don't want to take your own words.
No, I just laugh at that because they came out and said we were outgunned. You flew helicopters over top of them and you were outgunned.
The people need to realize these are military helicopters.
You had snipers set up across the street ready to fire and you were outgunned.
And some, 150 law enforcement officers?
You were outgunned. You guys were tipped off. You guys had a horrible plan and execution. You guys walked up and knocked on the front door ready to bust it in with ARs without doing anything.
And before we move on, there's that one line that hurts everybody, right? It's the child abuse. It's the sexual, abuse to children. And we're not advocating for that whatsoever. But what I am saying, people got to realize there was so many little babies in that compound. They didn't make it out. Okay. Right. And we're going to get to that, but they could have knocked on this door. This is something that these people believed. You go back, I think you took notes on earlier of the mom and the daughter. I think how old was she? 14 on Oprah's.
There was a 14-year-old daughter and her mother both were married to David, and they were actually on Oprah Winfrey show, and still when they were on that show, they had nothing wrong. They felt there was nothing wrong with that.
So you have to take that with a little bit of grace and understanding that they were brainwashed at this and this and this. And the fact that they took 150 people, with machine guns, 3 helicopters that you just talked about. How many tanks, dude? Well, it was like 4 or 5 fucking military tanks.
Well, Sturge,
to their front door.
You and I watched, and Levi.
And don't forget, in America, you're innocent until proven guilty.
And
he didn't even get a chance to stand trial.
You, Levi, and I watched the documentary on Netflix about it. I believe it was the ATF agent that was in charge. He said, well, how are we going to do this? He said, I'm going to walk up and kick the front door in.
Yeah.
And they kicked the front door in. And if someone kicks my front door in, I'm shooting.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly how it started.
This agent in charge, he just, to me, he thought he was untouchable. That he is top of the line, bow down to me. I'm an ATF agent.
So let's continue here for a second. The violent clash marked the beginning of a 51-day siege that captivated the nation. During this time, the FBI took over negotiations. The situation was tense, with Koresh showing a willingness to negotiate at times, yet also insisting on the authority and prophetic claims.
What's prophetic, guys? You got to understand that's him hearing from the Lord.
Which it may or may not have been him so much in pain from getting shot. He had been shot twice at the initial assault and still was fighting for his life the entire time.
Yeah.
As the siege unfolded, the media closely followed the events, portraying the Branch Davidians as a dangerous cult. The narrative often focused on the dramatic aspects, fire, conflict, and the figure of David Koresh as a cult leader. This sensationalized coverage further fueled public fear and misunderstanding. But before that, what was the public scared of?
Nobody, dude.
They didn't hurt anybody.
You go back and listen to this. The craziest fucking part of this, and we're going to cover this actually. I don't remember where he bombed. There was a guy there. Was it the FBI building? And I'm fucked. I don't remember.
What was
Oklahoma City?
Yeah,
the Oklahoma City bombings.
The guy that actually was part of that, and I don't want to mention the name because we're going to actually cover that case, was actually there at the front door selling fucking bumper stickers against the ATF, the FBI, the local law enforcement. A couple weeks later, he's fucking bombing the FBI building, which is fucking wild. I mean,
it is.
That's one of the biggest crimes that's ever happened in the United States. All over this situation. Were they in the right? Were they in the wrong? It's up to you guys. Now, let's not judge them on their religious beliefs. Let's not judge them, did the American law enforcement agencies do their fucking jobs to go and do it, to do their job safely and without, dude, guys, if I told you how many fucking little babies died that day, you may go back and think, you know what? Was David Koresh having sex with underage kids? I think he was. I do think he was. They thought he was a god, but you ask them, and they think that they were having sex with God, so it wasn't anything wrong. But was there a better approach? Was there a better approach to get inside of that place, tear it from the inside out instead of trying to tear it from the outside in?
Yeah,
that doesn't work.
He wasn't raping them or nothing. They were
that we
doing
know
this
of.
willingly.
Well, but but again, as a child,
yeah,
can you willingly? That's that. But
that's just it.
It
wasn't like he was harming. I mean,
that's up for debate.
That's up for debate. But it doesn't.
It's not.
But
like
we don't know that actually happened.
On down the road, it may create a mental problem.
But the biggest thing we're trying to hit here is they could have served a warrant. They could have called. They could have went so many different ways.
Front door,
knowing how many people are there and children and babies and stuff.
Koresh called them after they dove into
and said,
there.
"Why'd you do that?
Yeah, why'd you do that? All you had to do was come to my front door. We'll have a fucking conversation."
Yeah.
Don't ever forget this. The ATF fired first.
Exactly. Alcohol, tobacco, and fuck ups.
Yep, they fired first. So, Peanut, let's start with you there.
Well, as the negotiations continued, the FBI's tactics became increasingly aggressive. They employed psychological warfare, including loud music and bright lights to disturb the occupants. Critics argue that these tactics were counterproductive, pushing Koresh and his followers further into a defensive posture.
Now, I do want to explain what Phil's trying to say here. I don't want anybody to think that we're advocating for underage sex, or we're not trying to advocate.
No.
But what he is saying, if you listen to the interviews of these little girls, we're talking 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old.
As sick as it is.
It is fucking sick. And I know where you're going here, and I don't want these fuckheads on social media to take what we're saying. And their fucking eyes at the time,
Yeah.
they were not being raped.
Yeah.
They were not being molested. They were making love to a God, somebody that was gentle and calm. And,
it's sick as hell, but they weren't being.
To further,
I just felt like we should. I know what you were saying. I didn't know if anybody else.
But to further elaborate on that, there was a woman that was interviewed multiple times, and she put it this way: when he would give his sermons, at the end, he would always take a woman with him,
right?
And they all begged and prayed for that to be them,
right?
I mean, this guy
of all ages, guys.
He had them so mentally messed
brainwashed.
Up. Yeah, he could talk husbands to divorce their wives, so he could have them.
And you hear, what's up, Pat? You hear these, I know, a Bright Leaf Gardens. We're going to hit on that. I understand, and it's I've come from, and a lot of people have a story, right? I've came from sexual abuse. I understand it, and I understand what these girls are saying. What you're saying a little bit ago, like I said, I don't want people to take this the wrong way. Those little girls thought what was happening was okay. They thought they were making love to the Savior, the second coming of Christ.
Yeah.
It was okay to take their virginity. It was okay. As sick as this may be, guess what, guys? It fucking happened.
Yeah.
And today, to this fucking day, there's people out there that think there's nothing wrong with this. Now, we have a couple comments I would like to hit on. Peanut, I know you want to talk about April 19th, 1993, but before we do that, we got a new listener here, Bright Leaf Gardens. He says, there was no automatic weapon fire coming from the compound. The ATF lied about it. We know that.
Yeah.
We know they did. I got something interesting to tell you guys. I'm not going to actually tell you. We're going to have a part 2 of this. I interviewed last night somebody that was involved, that was a drummer, that was involved there on Instagram, that was involved inside of the compound. And to this day, he says, David Koresh, they should never done what they did. The ATF should have never done what they did.
No, even he was watching this stuff,
dude,
they went.
There was no
wrong.
gunfire coming from that compound. ATF fired first. They fucked up. They made a mistake.
Yeah.
Okay. Then they went with it. But listen, you guys have to understand, these people were brainwashed. That's a serious thing. So on April 19th, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah. No, you're fine. On April 19th, 1993, the situation took a tragic turn. Frustrated with the lack of progress in negotiations, the FBI decided to launch a final assault on the compound. They used tear gas.
It's tear gas. You guys, I don't know if anybody knows what the tear gas feels like, but it's fucking pepper spray in your eyes.
Not fun.
Yeah.
It's worse than that.
They were using it as an attempt to force out occupants out. However, this decision was widely criticized as reckless and poorly planned.
I think that hits it on the nail. I mean, guys, Dylan will tell you he's a hero, man. He's working in the prisons day in and day out. I hate to say it, but I've also took a bet one time 3 years ago to get hit with tear gas by a law enforcement officer, and it's fucking terrible. The goal is You put it in the building, and they disperse, right? You know,
they had masks.
Right.
Well,
And
some of them had.
it didn't work out well. Not all of them did.
Yeah, I mean, you had a lot of young kids that were exposed.
And they ended
to
up going into their bunker.
Yep.
Well, we're gonna get to that part. This is and hopefully I can get through that part because it's fucking, to me, when it comes to babies, it's fucked up.
It is.
Now, in the midst of this assault, you know, of this tear gas, and each one of us can tell you, tear gas doesn't start fires. Now you're gonna watch documentaries on the side of the government where they say fires took place in 3 different places. Zero evidence. But what a fire will do is get people out, just like tear gas, right? Tear gas doesn't work. What will take you out?
Fire.
Fire takes away oxygen. You can't breathe.
Yeah.
And the smoke will get you before the fire.
Carbon dioxide.
Unless a man named David Koresh tells you, you will be with me in paradise. Do not fucking run. Let your kids burn to death.
Yeah.
You're going for a good purpose. They've been hearing over the months of how much of a God he is. Now, guys, the fire breaks out in the compound. It's engulfing in flames. You guys saw the videos earlier.
Yeah.
The cause of the fire remains a topic of, an intense debate. Some believe it started by the Branch Davidians. I don't believe that. But as an act of, desperation is why they would start that. But while others argue it was a result of the FBI's aggression tactics, I think that's more believable, to be completely honest.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, guys.
They're leaving them with no.
I can't say the
resort.
C-19 word, right? Because if we do, we get booted off.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things over the last 10 years that have happened that are a load of bullshit that the government gave you. Of course, they're not going to. Do you really think the government's going to be like, hey, we fucked up. We caught it on fire, killed a bunch of kids?
Oh, no. They're going
You
to
really think they're going to fucking say that?
Every excuse they can.
Here's the last. Let me ask you this. When's the last time the government came out and said they accidentally killed a bunch of people? If you don't think that's ever happened, you're retarded. So now, in the end of all this is fucking heartbreaking. $76 people lost their lives. This includes women, mommies. And children. The interview I did, he left there when the building was burning because the sounds of the children screaming. Guys.
And I could speak on personal experience from when I was on the fire department. Hearing somebody burn alive and not being able to do nothing is extremely hard.
And a room full of kids, babies.
That's it. I mean,
the
sound is just extremely
it's tragic.
Hard.
People have PTSD from that shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's tragic. This event shocked the nation, and it raised significant questions about the actions of law enforcement. Now, we support our law enforcement. Before we go any further, American Whiskey supports our law enforcement. Guess what? I support teachers as well, but some of them make mistakes. Mistakes fucking happen. And it shocked America. And the decisions made during the siege and the overall handling of this situation by the ATF and FBI get fucked up.
Well, and a lot of our local law enforcement, if there's a screw up, the chief or the sheriff will get on there and like, hey, something didn't go right. We're having an investigation.
But does it always happen that way? Is there every once in a while a chief or a captain or a sheriff's like, is there any way to cover it up?
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure there is.
There is. We had somebody in Clark County for like 30 years that did that.
Well, He is a crook too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
But you never see a federal agency admit to screwing up.
And that's the thing. They'd rather just end up fucking, instead of being like, fuck, the first day that it happened, we fucked up. Somebody fired. We're investigating it right now. David, listen, we fucked up.
I mean,
can we come to a resolution? We're not going to do anything else. Our goal is to share your message, get these kids out, get the mamas out. What do you want? You want to all you wanted was to share his fucking message.
And that's why a lot of the kids did get out.
Some of them did. Not a lot. Some of them.
Well, I'm saying the ones that did.
Dude, I'm so glad that they're alive. How many died?
Too many.
One would be too many.
One would be way too many. This is an argument whether David Koresh was on a fucking rocker horse. It's the point that the government do their job, and we're going to go into this. I mean, let's talk about the aftermath here, Dylan.
So the aftermath of the siege saw widespread criticism of the government's actions. Many believe the ATF and FBI had mishandled the situation from the start, opting for confrontation rather than negotiation, which we hit on pretty heavily.
We did.
Investigations were launched and congressional hearings were held to examine the events. The siege at Waco has left a lasting legacy. It sparked discussions from religious freedom, government intervention, and how crises are handled in America. The events serve as a reminder of the complexities involved when faith, authority, and media intersect.
Now, guys, what you have to understand, everyone thinks right now, right? Columbine happened, school shooting, all these school shootings, all these things that happened. Everyone's hearing it now because there's a lot of media presence. This shit's been going on for a lot of years, right? I mean, gun violence has been going on for a lot of years. A lot of people look at, Republicans as the ones that are thriving for the gun acceptance and everyone should have a gun and blah, 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 blah. But at this time, during this situation, the Republicans were the ones who were saying, who fucked up here? Who fucked up here? And, that just goes to show you the differences from now and then, right?
Well, I mean, even I can't necessarily go with that. I mean, when you start getting involved with, the
can't wait. You can't go with what?
The House and Senate.
Yeah.
I mean, they really push on this stuff. They really do. I mean,
they absolutely do.
I mean, the close thing. I mean, look at our Trump situation. These government agencies weren't admitting to a screw up, and they're all saying, "What do you mean?"
Yeah. Well, they don't admit anything.
Exactly.
And
they called them out on everything. So I'm sure,
Waco. Hey, listen, Waco was a fuck up.
It was 100%.
To this day, they will tell you it was David Koresh. He's the one that fucked it all up. Listen, when you fucking fire first, guess what? Do not. If you think they have fully automatic weapons, why the fuck would you fire first?
Right. And just to hit on what Peanut here said, over that whole Trump situation, the assassination attempt,
what do you mean assassination attempt?
It was an
you
attempt.
Better throw an S at the end.
Well, okay. Well, I'm talking about the main one. The only thing I can ever say the Biden administration did well is they launched a full investigation into the FBI and said, "You fucked this up."
That's just,
and they still never.
Where's the investigation at? What do you mean? That wasn't shit. We still don't even know what happened.
No.
How did that guy?
They let him up there.
Hundreds of people saw him. That's not what we're talking about. Let's reflect on these tragic events.
Yeah. So it's essential to consider the human stories behind the headlines. The individuals involved were not just numbers. They were people with dreams, fears, and beliefs that led them to that compound.
Yeah.
You know what, Peanut? I always close it out.
Well,
I'm not going to do it tonight.
Do you even want to close it out?
Yeah,
since
we
we're
do,
hitting a part
because-
two.
Well, here,
We got a part 2 come. We're going to end it and come back.
I'll close
Okay.
it out.
We're
and then
coming
you
for a
come back.
second episode, guys.
Round
we want you to
two.
tune in. We're going
Round
to do
two,
a round
baby.
2, but we got to gather ourselves and we'll be back. But I always close it out. I want Peanut to close it out tonight.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today on American Whiskey Sip and Solve.
Sip and solve.
Sip and sip, baby. We hope this episode shines some light on the complex history of Waco and the Branch Davidians.
And dude,
Now,
he hit it right there. It's got to shed light, guys. It's got to, you got to read through the lines.
and if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share your thoughts with us on social media. But like Serge says, we got part 2.
We're coming back tonight, baby. And
And-
Dylan's leading this one.
And it's very interesting. Part 2.
This is your favorite. This is your favorite one. You're the one that requested this episode.
Yes, because part 2 is Ruby Ridge. And it is
Government fuck up.
the same ATF lead
Say it again.
agent screwed both of these up.
Hey, government fuck up.
Government fuck up all the way. And it was the same agent.
We're American Whiskey, and I'm Big Sturge.
Justice League.
And I'm the Peanut.
And we are
American, Whiskey.
We'll be back in like 15 minutes, guys.